I am circling back to something I promised I would do in a previous episode, and now I'm going to give a full review for Inside Out 2. Um,
All right.
so, I'll be hitting on some of the things I mentioned before like, when I just spoke on it briefly before, but, yeah. So, in this sequel, the idea here is that Riley is now a teenager, and she is going off to a summer camp for hockey, like a training camp with some of her high school friends. But along the way, they get to talking, and she kind of discovers that they are going to a different school than her in their next semester. And, or they're going to a different high school. I think they're going from middle school to high school, and they're going to different schools. And she's really sad about that. And it creates some new emotions that start taking over, and then she wants to impress this really popular girl and her friends that are good at hockey. They're called the Firehawks, and she wants to become a part of them. So she develops four new emotions: embarrassment, envy, ennui, which is boredom, just like teenage boredom, like, ugh, do I have to? Or sarcasm as well.
Mm-hmm.
And anxiety. And
Okay.
anxiety, played by Maya Hawke in this movie, Maya Hawke of Stranger Things fame, and the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. She does a fantastic job, but anxiety in this movie is basically our accidental villain. But this movie does this movie does something that a lot of Disney movies have done lately, where there is no, like, true villain, but what there is a lot of drama and misunderstanding that leads to someone taking villainous actions even though they're not a bad guy.
Okay.
Think of, like, movies like Encanto, where there is no actual villain, but, like, the conflict is based around family drama,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're working with here, in the sense that but unfortunately what this leads to is basically the same plot as the first movie happening all over again in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So whereas in the first movie, joy and sadness got separated from the other emotions and had to work their way back, and anger, fear, and disgust were basically taking over all of Riley's behaviors, in this one, the same thing happens, except all of the original emotions get separated, and it's the new emotions that completely take over. So Riley in this movie is being driven almost exclusively by anxiety throughout most of the movie.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a pretty hefty metaphor. But it's really cool because anxiety's whole thing, she's not trying to do bad. She's trying to do good, but doing it the wrong way. A lot of fear about the future causes a lot of overthinking and overplanning and making mistakes like, basically dismissing her old friends in favor of her new crew and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she wants to be popular, and she, like, oh no, our old friends are really embarrassing, and we can't. So, it leads to moments in the movie where Riley will, like, straight up lie about the bands that she likes just to fit in with the popular kids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for any teenager that's ever gone through this, it's extremely relatable.
Yeah?
There are some moments where we jump into the heads of other people too, but they didn't do it as much as the first movie. We see, like, a moment in her mom's head after Riley hits puberty, and she has a freak out about, like, oh god, we knew this day was coming,
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit with the dad. There is a hilarious moment with one of her friends where they don't really want to tell her about the new school thing because they're afraid of her reaction, and her emotions, one of them accidentally spills some tea on the console, and they're like, oh no, you spilled the tea, and then it zooms back out, and then the girl just tells her everything, and I'm like, that's a funny metaphor, that's hilarious. Because, the whole spill the tea means you tell secrets, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Or like you give the business, So I thought that was pretty funny. Just stuff like that. There's also like a part where sarcasm becomes an actual chasm, like a chasm that opens up wide, and when you yell across it, anything you say gets translated sarcastically. So like you're like, "Oh boy, we're so glad to see you guys," and then on the other end, it's like, "Oh boy, we're so glad to see you guys."
I saw that in the trailer.
It has a lot of good stuff like that. And yeah, the metaphors are on point. I love it. What this one deals with is designing someone's core personality. So Riley has a core personality inside of her that's based off of memories that basically they take these memories down an elevator into this pool of water and they put them there, and the memories grow a thread that goes up that helps create part of her core personality. So her very special core memories design who she is, like she's a good person and all that. And Joy, having learned absolutely nothing from the first movie, is manipulating this so that her core personality is only based on good memories, and all of the stinky memories get catapulted off into the stratosphere. It really feels like, since she's doing this in the beginning, it really feels like she didn't learn shit in the first movie. So she has to relearn things too. One of the most depressing yet hard-hitting and accurate lines in the entire movie, she says something along the lines of, "Maybe the older you get, the less joy you feel."
Ooh.
You know? Yeah, and because this is at the later in the movie when Joy starts to realize that anxiety is actually necessary to some degree. She says, maybe you can't beat anxiety. Maybe you just have to learn how to manage it.
God damn.
Yep. Yeah, it gets deep with that.
That's fucking deep, man.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely felt some things while watching this, and also, there's a vault of secrets, where they get locked up in at one point, but this is a vault where Riley keeps all of her deepest, darkest secrets, and one of them is that she still likes a kid show that she grew up with that's a direct parody of, like, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or Dora the Explorer, where they talk to the audience and they're like, "Can you see the item we need?" in the background, you know? And then, like, he has a bag named Pouchy, and when he needs him, he'll scream, "Oh, Pouchy!" you know? Just like the "Oh, Toodles" thing. So it's exactly like that, and they actually use this as a plot device a couple different times to get through different things. It's pretty fucking funny. I will say, the anger character has absolutely no patience for this BS either, by the way.
I bet not.
Because he's like, "Pouchy, do you have anything that'll help us get out of here?" And he's like, "Boy, let me see. I have an apple, a rubber duck, he's like a crayon, and a stick of dynamite." and they look at the camera, he's like, "Which one do you think will help us get out of here?" And Anger's like, "Oh, for crying out loud, give me the dynamite." You know? It's pretty fucking great.
Funny.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about this. They toy with different animation styles, so most of the movie is in the same Pixar animation as the original, but there are moments, so like, Pouchy and the guy and the dog character and all that, they are 2D animated, like flat animation, like like that kind of cartoon would look.
Okay.
And there's a video game character who looks like he is straight out of a PS2 era video game in there too. As is one of the things. He's in the secret vault because Riley has a crush on him.
Okay.
Yeah, and just other stuff like that. So they do some creative stuff with the animation. I liked it. Look, it's no Bing Bong, but the side characters were still fun.
Hell yeah.
So overall, I liked it. My main issue with it is that it feels like it's basically, for all intents and purposes, just the exact same plot as the first movie, handled differently.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's literally just the emotions getting thrown out of the tower and having to claw their way back while the negative emotions take over and ruin Riley's life. You know?
That.
Like, It's the exact same thing, just handled differently with new emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying that that part definitely knocks it down a peg for me just a little bit. But that and the fact that it seems in the beginning like Joy didn't learn anything from the first movie. She did in the terms of how she treats sadness and realizes that sadness is necessary now. But the whole, like, manipulating Riley's core personality in order to, based off entirely off good memories was bad, because by the end of the movie, they've basically learned that Riley needs the good and bad memories to be part of her core personality to make up who she is. And it goes through this whole montage where she says a bunch of contradicting things, but it makes sense because that's how people are. Well, she'll say, I'm a good person, but I'm flawed. I'm kind, but I'm mean sometimes. It's not all good or all bad. It's a mix of the two. And that's the lesson here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, that's part of the message of the movie overall. Is that, it's okay to be flawed.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be, it's about how you handle it.
Yeah.
There's beauty in the cracks, that kind of thing. So definitely a good movie overall, though, because of the few caveats I mentioned. I would give it a 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10
would be my score.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fair.
Yep. That's what I am going with, I think. I gave the first one a 9 out of 10, so, but I do think this is a franchise with a lot of potential for longevity because of the vast multitude of emotions they can pull from and different ages that Riley can hit that they can work with. So, like, I guarantee you the next one is probably, like, she's, like, either 16 or 18, or something like that,
Yeah.
Also, they didn't have a Pixar short before this, but there is one on Disney Plus you can watch called Riley's First Date.
I think I have seen that one.
So that's a lead up into the movie itself.
Okay. Makes sense.